Cocalled. This is Cocalled. Cocalled.
Hello and welcome to Cocalled. Wow.
Hi.
Where are we?
Guys, this is so awkward. Well, first of all, we're on YouTube.
Yes. So welcome to
Hi.
all our YouTube audience, which I'm sure there's so many. Welcome to all of you.
That's the good news. Like, hopefully it's
Yes.
just like Edwin, Denise. Hi.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, suegra.
I hope I look good.
But anyways,
We're very excited
we're
to be
super
here.
excited to be here. And if you'll notice, for those watching online, we're in a space
Yes.
and
It belongs to us.
you guys, we have
We did it.
officially launched Hi Hello Labs.
Mhm.
And Hi Hello Labs is our new baby.
Yes.
It is
It's a content creation studio in the heart of downtown Orlando.
That's right. We are going to be offer podcasting services, photography, video production, all things media creation related.
So this is
This is Hi Hello Labs. This
Hi
is
Hello Labs,
Lab
and
4.
this is Cocalled
Yes.
Lab 2, Lab 1. No, sorry, Lab 4. Sorry, I don't know
Guys,
what my
he's
mind
excited.
Anyway.
He needs to take a breath.
is. But welcome everyone.
Yes.
This is Cocalled. Carlos, Carolina, I love you so much.
I love
I'm
you.
so proud of us. I'm proud of you. We've gone a long way.
Yes.
But for all those that don't know, Hi Hello Labs was actually birthed from Hi Hello Co., which is
Yes.
a
A parent company. we're
parent
calling it.
company, which is a gifting and branding
Studio.
that we still have at home.
Yes.
So now we're sister companies.
Yes, that's right. And so
When
it's
did we
kind of
start
like
Hi
a
Hello Co.?
it's kind of like a his and hers thing because
Yeah.
I really spearheaded Hi Hello Co. back in 2017.
It was like
I want to
three-
say was when I started
3-4 years ago.
and that actually went through a couple rebrands and pivots and all the things as I learned kind of the
Mistakes
lay of the
and-
land. But this year we went through a major rebrand in every sense
Mhm.
and started to scale. And then Carlos is going to share a little bit
Yeah.
about how we landed at Hi Hello Labs. But it's so funny because we were going back and forth on the title for this episode. Well, by we, I mean me in my head, because Carlos doesn't care about titles. That was established a couple episodes ago.
I just want to talk.
I know you want to talk, but anyways, I was thinking, and Carlos was like, what are you going to title this? And I thought the story of us ... again, because it feels like this doesn't feel like a chapter in a book. It feels like a whole new book almost, or like volume 2 of our, and it's so funny because we are 9.5 years married. We're about to go into a new decade of marriage, which sounds insane. And I feel like this is the story of us again now with, walking in this morning, I had this moment of realization where I realized these were the days we prayed for.
Yeah.
Like, I remember many times elaborate prayers, simple prayers in the car of like, gosh, like, I can't wait till we are building and working together full time. Because obviously we were always building, but you had a full-time job that didn't allow you to have the liberty or freedom that we do now. And so it's like, wow, these were the days we prayed for. And working in something creative, working in something that we love, that we're passionate about, and downtown, which is vibes.
District.
Yeah, Orlando's really growing, y'all. Creative Village is coming in just down the street. Like, there's so much happening in this space in Orlando that is really exciting to kind of be a part of this this sort of movement here in the city, in our city beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah, so.
But anyway, as you see, we love what we do. We've been
Yes.
doing it for years now. And we also love being here and sharing our hearts and our testimonies with you, and kind of hoping that there is some way, shape, or form that it can help in any way. We're by all means no experts. We're actually learning as we're going, but we've made many mistakes and we made many good decisions. And I believe that this is one.
Yeah.
But to kind of tell you what happened or how we came to this, for a few years now, I felt that I needed to leave my employer.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, and we wanted, but there was never that proper release. Like I knew I had to stay and keep staying, and I had to see some things through. And walking into 2021, coming out of 2020, which is pandemic year,
Right.
we came into 2021 thinking, what's next? There's a lot of questions everywhere, a lot of people losing jobs left and right, and a lot of uncertainty of the market and
what's
all
happening.
that. So we're walking into 2021 with this whole uncertainty, and we're like, oh gosh, like what's going to happen? And this, of course, is not the year to do anything or buckle. It's like buckle down and stay where you are and bunker in and hunker in and whatever.
Yeah.
So come February or March, I knew something happened, and I knew that was my cue.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got to take this. But of course, I have a son with special needs. I have a family of 5 that we need insurance, and we have a certain lifestyle that we like, and I had to provide. As providers, you men know that our number one priority is always like bringing home the bacon.
Right.
And if we don't have a way to bring it, like,
which it's really funny because Carlos says this all the time at home, and Nico, our little 5-year-old, he will say, "Where's Daddy?" And I'm like, "Oh, Daddy's at work." And he's like, "Oh, he's at the office bringing the bacon." So he literally thinks you are here, literally making bacon to bring home.
Which we love bacon at the Flores home. But anyway, so as men, we have this, worry of like, what are we going to do, or how are we going to, do better?
Right.
And the day that I said, okay, all right, Lord, I'm out of here, I had so much peace.
Yeah.
And now I know what the Bible says about the peace that surpasses all understanding, which I never really knew.
Yeah.
And it's like, I should be freaking out. I should be worried. I should be thinking all these things, but I'm good.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a weight off my shoulders. And it was almost like, I wanted to walk out and say like, freedom. Yeah. But I'm driving home.
Yeah.
And I call one of my best friends, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm putting in my 2 weeks tomorrow. Blah, 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 blah. I explain the situation. And he's like, Carlos, do not do it. Think twice about it. Sleep on it. Take a week, maybe next week, maybe the following week. But he was really kind to like let me know that we're not in the right times for you to kind of quit, and you do have a big family. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, I don't understand. Like, I feel that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I say I'm praying and I'm talking to my friend, and I'm like, you know what? When I get home, I'm telling my wife, because she didn't know at this point.
Right.
And her attitude or her mindset is going to tell me if I'm doing the right thing.
Is going to confirm.
Yeah.
So he comes home, and now here's the thing. I've been ready for him to do his own thing. Like, I'm like, you've got so much potential. You're so talented.
For years,
I've been just thinking this, and I'm very much entrepreneurial. Like, I'm like, let's do our own thing. Let's be our own bosses. Like, that's, I gravitate towards that. Yeah. And so, and
I'm like, great, but who's paying the bills?
Right. So he comes home and he tells me, this was it. This is it. I'm done. And I was like, okay. Let's go.
We're done.
That's it. And it was different because there's been other times where he'd come home feeling like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm just tired and I'm defeated and whatever. And I always had this sense to just encourage, like, no, it's all right. Like, we're waiting on the Lord's time. Like, I knew it wasn't the Lord's time, but this time felt different. And this time it was like, oh, I know you're done. That's the Lord's been speaking that, like, our time is here. And I had this moment of like, okay, this is it. We're no longer waiting. Like, these are the days that
we're diving.
The Lord has called us to. And so we did. And you put in your 2 weeks notice. And it was so interesting because we had like the first month of having him home, and we talked about this in our last episode, was like so bliss. But then I think you started going when you started looking again, like, okay, Lord, and this always happens, right? When the Lord tells you to do something and then it's not happening in the time or in the way you thought it would. And so you begin to try to create that momentum and try to create that next thing. And you started applying for all these jobs and you started doing all these things. And then people started finding out that you weren't working there anymore and that you were sort of a free agent. And people started calling and offering you jobs. And there was
which I was very honored, because there were so many companies that I'm like, oh, wow, you want me?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, oh, it's kind of the same thing I walked out of. I don't want to go back to the same thing.
And there was a lot of relocation, and we really didn't want to leave.
We didn't want to leave the city beautiful, so
leave our city, leave our support system, leave our families. There's just a lot in our family that, with Sebastian and everything, having that support system is very important for us right now. And so relocation was really not an option for us. And so and all of that is happening, but you're going through your own thing at that time too.
So I took I've worked like a dog for years, and I love my job and I love what I do and I love the company I was with, but there was never, I was just working a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes Carolina was like, how do you do it? Like, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Honestly, I do 100% believe that it was the grace of God. And God gave me grace to do the job and do it well and bless so many and be blessed by so many and travel the world and whatnot. But I decided to take a month off and to focus on my family, to focus on my kids. And we did everything from playing on the floor to learning, going to the park, to Disney, to everything. And then I said in my mind, after the month is up, the Lord will surely bring that job, that amazing job, because he's taking care of me. He's doing it. And it's again, how you plan things to come about.
But I think too, there's this thing where we create bargains with God that God never agreed to. Like, we do that. Where we create these little deals. Hey, like, all right,
I'll do
God,
this, but you have to do this.
Right. And God's like,
that's not
I never spoke that.
Yeah.
I never spoke that.
And again,
and you're disappointed at the end of it. And it's like, right, but God never spoke that to begin with. Yeah. So that was all on you, buddy. Yeah. You created that whole fantasy in your head that had nothing to do with faith.
And it got to do with you being a planner. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I thought, okay, for sure there's a job waiting for me somewhere, an amazing job. No, the month came and gone, and I enjoyed it, but there was no job. And months went by, and we were still fine. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that wanted me to come work for them, I really didn't want to go work for them, because again, it's the same thing that I came out of. Mm-hmm. So I was really kind of going for a different avenue. And I went through just a phase of lack of identity. I went through a phase of depression. I went through a phase of anger. I went through a phase of bitterness, because then it was like, man, I want to go back to where I was. Mm-hmm. That was my purpose, or that is what I'm here for. And really, like, the identity comes through, we decide who we are going to be. It's not what people decide who we are going to be. So we have to make our identity, with and through God, to see who we are. And I struggled with it because I didn't know who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And months went by of me not knowing who I was and going from one interview to another. I mean, I was applying to 3 jobs a day.
Yeah.
I'm getting, one interview here, and then 2 interviews, and then 3, and then 4, and nothing comes about. So at this point, I'm like, Lord, what is it? Like, what am I here to do?
Right.
And I remember we were at home.
Yeah.
And backtrack. I went to lunch with a guy.
Right.
A friend of mine, really good friend of mine, went to lunch. And we were eating, and he demolished me. I mean, honestly, sometimes you need that harsh love, and I fully endorse harsh love because we need it it's not tough love. Yeah, not harsh, tough. So he just kind of went, and he just kind of let me know, like, this is what I think, this is what you're doing wrong, I think, and this is how I think you should change, and this is what. So anyway, I left that lunch, and I was like, oh gosh, man, I'm such a loser. Like, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
And as I'm driving home, I felt the Lord immediately speak to me and said, do I have to send more people to tell you what to do? Like, you know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just heard it so clear that I immediately made a U-turn, and I came straight to downtown. I called Carolina. I'm like, hey, I'm going to downtown. Well, I'm looking for properties because we are opening up a studio.
To which I get super duper excited.
Yeah. You just give her an inch, she'll like go all the way.
Because I'm like, yes.
So we've
been waiting on this.
This image I'm about to show you is our life and marriage. That's the mom, and I'm the kid.
Okay. We're going to have to put this up on like Instagram for people that only listen. But
so anyway, for those that are watching. But anyway, I walk out, I'm driving around downtown, and there's really nothing that I'm seeing. And anyway, long story short, I get home and I tell Carolina, and then she takes over.
He delegates
the hunt.
Which, let the hunt begin. I pull out my laptop and I'm like, here we go. Let's go. So I get on Google, go on LoopNet. I'm like looking leases, Orlando, kind of going the places he told me, looking around those addresses and find a couple of places, set up a couple of meetings that same night. Like within 2 days, we are like going around looking at spaces.
Yeah.
And
which is what I love about my wife. You just give her an idea. She takes care of everything. She plans our vacations, everything anyway.
I run. So anyways, I came across this space we're in now, and I'm like, babe, this is it. It's like in the heart of downtown, right on Orange Avenue. It's like a historic landmark building. It's super cool. Vibes upon vibes. And so I call the guy, and sure enough, it's like out of our budget. I'm like, well,
because she has really expensive taste.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work. So he's like, but I do have this other space that may work, and it's like down the street. So still vibes. I'm like, okay, and perfect. Yeah. So we loved it. We go down there. It's super cool. The train station. I mean, everything's like super cool.
Vibes upon vibes.
Yes. And so we're there. Now, the thing with this space was that, or with that space, was that it needed to be built out, which they would include. Now, when we came back with our layout and what we needed that space to be, the landlord, was like, oh, actually, because of pandemic and everything that's going on, shortages, construction material and all, even labor is super expensive right now. I mean, it's costing like expensive. 3 times more than what it would originally cost. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, we're done. We can't afford the other space. This space is not working out. What are we going to do? We're going back and forth with ideas. Well, our landlord calls us back and says, hey, do you still want to see? I'm looking at the layout of what you need and all that. Do you still want to see that original space you liked? And I'm like, okay, we can't afford that. And I feel like at this point, I'm like, I feel like I need to remind him that we can't afford it because I don't want to waste anyone's time, including our own. And so, I'm like, we really can't afford it. And he's like, well, let's just go check it out. And at this point, I'm getting that like favor. My favor radar's going off because I'm like, God, you're about to do something. So sure enough, We come to a space. It is perfect, y'all, for what we need. I mean, the layout that's already in this space is perfect.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, I mean, it's perfect. It's amazing. But again, we cannot afford it.
No.
And it's so funny too, like, man, watching what we say, but also too, the reality, that was the reality, is I didn't want to waste his time saying we couldn't afford it. Well, he goes back and he says, tell you what, and for whatever reason, this guy they really believe in what we're doing. He goes, tell you what if I give you this space for the price of the other one? And my jaw just dropped. I mean, I was like, play it cool, play it cool, play it cool. But at the same time, I'm like, Jesus, won't he do it? Like, won't God do it and get all the glory? Like, only he could set up a story where he would get all the glory and we would be 100% dependent on him.
Exactly.
And he did. And we got the space, almost 1,000 square feet more, already the layout we need for the price of the other one. And it just made sense for them to not dish out the money on the build out and just give us the space.
Because potentially they could have lost us.
Yeah.
Because we were going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that just comes to show you that you plan things a certain way, but God plans them better.
Yes.
And to be quite frank, like, we got the best end of the deal.
Yeah.
And we are so appreciative to the landlord and the people that God put around us. But I mean, our Lord and Savior let this happen in the time we needed it to happen.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
And it just, again, we did it in fear. We were scared. We're still scared. We're still freaking out.
Yeah.
But I want to bring in Hi Hello Co. because seeing the way the Lord has opened doors in that business, and the contacts and the accounts that have come through just this year, it's like, God, we're giving you the reins.
He's clearly doing something.
Yeah.
You know, the faithfulness of God never ceases to amaze me. And here's the thing. We don't even know, guys, how this story is going to end.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. I'm hopeful. I'm so hopeful. You know, and hope is what fuels faith. It said, the Bible says that it's the hope of things unseen. I have not yet seen what God is going to do through Hi Hello Labs, through us, through this space. But I am so hopeful that what is coming is good because it's coming from God. And there's no doubt about that.
Not at all. And
so
this is just what we're going through.
Yes.
We are very excited.
Yes.
And we just want to keep sharing what the Lord is doing in our lives, in our marriage.
Yes.
And I encourage you, do that you feel scared. If it doesn't scare you, then it's not what you need to do.
It's not big enough.
And do it together. You are co-called in a marriage to do things together.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we are two, not one.
Yeah.
So, again.
Well, we're technically one, but you know.
You're right. Again, thank you for listening today.
Yes.
To the people watching on YouTube, thank you. Welcome.
Make sure you like,
keep
subscribe, do all the things. You know what they are.
Exactly.
And until next time. Thank you for listening to Cocalled, a podcast for the modern marriage. Find us on Instagram at Cocalled Podcast and share it if you like it.